Yo people, what's up? This is MalcolmXtreme, the content machine, coming at you with another reaction video from Cash Jordan, straight from the NYC, seeing how crazy this dumpster fire is. 3 entire malls leave NYC over theft. I think I seen a similar video to this. I think it was talking about a kind of like a mall mixed in with like the subway station. I don't really remember it, but I remember it was on Cash Jordan's YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, link in my basement to this video. Cash Jordan's channel. He'd be making some videos. He'd be out on the streets doing some real investigative journalism, and we're gonna check out this one right now. If you like the videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the like button. Show some love to Cash too.
Of apparent shoplifting over and over and over again, and sometimes
Oh yeah, man.
So this is
That shit's crazy.
Underground shopping centers. Crime here is so bad, it's tough for places like this to stay open, leaving many of them completely abandoned. And that's a problem because experts say things down here are about to get much worse.
A spike in shoplifting in New York City. The NYPD says it hasn't seen levels like this since 1995.
Yeah, I think this was something we touched on a little bit in the last video, except it was with grocery stores.
And workers say they are fed up with crimes like you're seeing on your screen. They perceive this as a refusal by the city to crack down on shoplifting.
Bad guys no longer fear the police. They feel emboldened to do whatever they want.
And that's funny. It's coming from Eric Adams, the mayor of NYC. You know, it's funny coming from him when he can actually do something about it.
Mayor Adams giving mixed messages, claiming the criminals here are emboldened while also insisting
Power tools. Some of the goods are
Yeah, this is.
We are arresting.
I don't know if I talked about this in the last video where they're finding stuff in like storage areas of like stolen goods and stuff.
To fix its dead, abandoned shopping centers just like this one. But what nobody's talking about is that all of this is the predictable result of New York City's soft on crime policies, which allow criminals to steal whatever, whenever, wherever, without any fear of repercussions. Because when people here get caught stealing, they get released. Nobody goes to jail. In this lawless environment,
It's pretty much in a revolving door of theft.
on websites like Amazon, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Yes, that grandmother you just bought a chainsaw from, who you didn't meet in person, whose 3-year-old son delivered to you. That's a stolen product, and that's not someone's grandmother.
Pretty much.
Underground malls and shopping
But
centers are
hey,
struggling to stay open.
you got a bargain on that chainsaw, right?
Because nobody wants to start a business or run a business in a war zone, because these places are connected to the New York City subway, which is just overrun with criminals, and there's nothing the police can do about it. And if the city
People jumping over the turnstiles.
what chance does your business or any business have in this city? Questions like these are why malls like this are pretty much empty. On top of that, these underground malls and facilities have a design flaw that in the progressive world we live in makes them even more of a target for criminals than any other store you could possibly open.
Sabaros. I haven't seen a Sabaros in years, bro.
So you wouldn't know by looking around, but we're right now in one of the most famous parts of New York City, Rockefeller Center. Above us, you have a
Looks really nice.
But down here, you got another dead mall that can't fill its retail spaces.
U.S. malls have shaped the American shopping experience, and most of them have a similar layout. It includes a food court, popular clothing stores, and the most important part of any mall, anchor stores. Malls had a symbiotic relationship with their anchors. If the anchor closed, the mall's performance began to plummet.
So right away, we see a massive problem with these underground types of malls. We're not attracting...
But you know, I think a lot of the poor performances with like malls and giant malls in general, like all around America, is just that like Amazon has taken over and people are just shopping on Amazon. The one thing I wouldn't get from like Amazon or any other like marketplace online is probably shoes. I like actually going out and looking at my shoes and buying my shoes from like a retailer than doing it online, because I feel like the shoes, if they come to me, they're too big. I mean, I guess I could just send them back, but like I'd rather go to the mall, fit it at the mall or the shoe store or whatever, and then take it home, because I know they fit. I know they feel good, you know?
Stores like Macy's, Bloomingdale's, or even an Apple store, that would never come here. Instead, you've got empty storefronts, poor lighting, and a relatively dirty-looking environment compared to most shopping malls, which is why it should come as no surprise that 83% of these underground spaces across the city are empty. They do have a few stores like this Dunkin' Donuts. There's also a little magazine stand. There was a pizza place at one point, but that's shut down. And
yeah, that's gone. Sbarro gone.
Even though this doesn't look like a thriving, glowing retail environment, in the past, places like this never needed to attract an anchor store because they used to have something else going for them. But because the city has allowed the environment down here to deteriorate to such a level, the thing that used to work for places like this now works against them.
in just the last few days, there have been multiple violent attacks in the subway system.
That's right, Mayor Adams giving mixed messages, claiming the criminals...
Yeah, and all the random attacks too. That's a problem as well.
So the subway is now the most dangerous part of the city. It's
I don't know if you guys actually saw, like there was all those random like women getting punched in the face. I mean, like some of them had video and some of them like actually were talking about it on camera. But like there was incidences. Well, people have been getting punched in the face around New York forever, right? I mean, who's that one actor, Steve Buscemi? Did he just get punched in the face by some random dude in New York City? Yeah, so a lot of those random acts of violence really deter people as well. That's gotta be rough, man. Just living in a place where crime is just so crazy that you could just get randomly assaulted out of nowhere. I guess it could happen anywhere, but like, especially places like New York, you gotta be really vigilant about shit like that.
Definitely not helping. And just as a vanishing anchor store will deter customers, so will a crime-ridden transit system connected to the area you wish to rent out stores. In fact, the city subways are now such a disaster, the National Guard has been rolled out at various stations. The police are also conducting...
Oh yeah, the National Guard was called too.
Still out of control, and that's why the underground malls are in such a dilapidated, neglected, abandoned state. And it's also why the only businesses that they can get to come down here and open up are places like a Dunkin' Donuts or a convenience store that have something to do with commuter foot traffic. But think about it, everybody down here is trying to get out of here as fast as they can. And let's be honest, if you're not selling things like food or candy bars, criminals
going to be caught down there at night
into the train. And that's a problem because these stores are so small, they can really only have 1, maybe 2 employees inside. There's no room for security. Plus, these are low-level operations. They're not Fortune 500 businesses. And there's not even enough foot traffic down here to sustain fast food, which makes you wonder how successful would any business be trying to operate in an environment where everyone walking by is afraid. And to add insult to injury, up here on street level, you've got Fifth Avenue. This is where all the anchor stores are located. You've got Abercrombie & Fitch, Uniqlo, tons of brands all right here.
Abercrombie.
Anchor store traffic to this, which is a
nice looking statue right there.
No,
Atlas.
The crime is down there. You walk past here every single morning? Yeah. Is it bad down here?
Yeah, bro. I mean, like, as far as just like what you see, it's like it's not bad.
See, I like this with Cash Jordan. He actually goes up to people and does interviews with people and talk about their experience, because you know they're the ones who living there. They're the ones who have the experience. I mean, Cash, I'm assuming he does live in New York. I mean, I think I've seen a video with him in Japan, but for the most part, he's in New York. You know, living the life, living the New York life, actually interviewing people and getting their life experiences there.
I remember stuff like this being open, but now it's like...
Yeah, it's very like desolate. At least it's not like extremely dirty, but...
Yeah, for New York.
I mean, that's like that for a lot of malls, though.
What you'd want in an environment that's supposed to encourage people to spend money. I mean, look at this place. There's not exactly a ton down here to inspire consumer confidence, that's for sure. And when survival is the only thing on everyone's mind, getting people to spend money on expensive luxury products probably is never going to happen.
Yeah,
that's why the best
you're going to get your ass robbed, bro.
Which gets some foot traffic, but doesn't have any customers. Ditto the abandoned beauty shop over here. But the reason this is so concerning is because in other parts of the country, malls are thriving. Yes, it's true. Malls were supposed to be dead, but they found ways to survive, just not here in an environment like this.
The American mall has been a bit overblown. Retail mall sales grew 11% in 2022. Some of these thriving malls have pivoted toward an experiential model, placing department stores with grocery chains, casinos.
You know, I noticed something. When it comes to like malls, I think it works better with like tourism. You know, because people are coming into the state, they could just go there. You know, just a big mall. After going to a park, going on a ride or something, they just go to a mall. Or after hanging out at the resort for however long, like a day or so, just go to the mall and buy some shit. Take it back as a souvenir. You don't always have to spend money in the parks.
Definitely an experience happening down here, that's for sure. And it's not one the city who operates these places
people have
is particularly
options.
Fond of, but because criminals can run rampant down here and do whatever they want without fear of jail time, as long as they steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, all we are left with are the marks of a society that is in decline because criminals basically run the place.
Can you imagine like a criminal with a calculator trying to calculate everything under $1,000?
Center, and lo and behold, look at that, there's a gift shop. There's another Dunkin' Donuts. You've got the skating rink, you've got the other things that people can do and experience when they're here, and those are the ingredients malls in other parts of the country have used to stave off their decline. And we have our first actual sit-down diner anyone would dare eat at. And this isn't a luxury facility either. Things here are pretty old, they're pretty dated, but it's well lit, it's clean. You see security guards walking around, people feel safe. There's subway.
Yeah, it looks really nice in there.
The problem with the subway is that there's nothing to do but get on the train and worry about getting to your next destination. And that's the big problem with the city's subway malls. The real estate itself limits what types of stores, what type of environment you can have, how high the ceilings can be, and the crime-ridden environment down there limits who's willing to even lease one of those spaces in the first place. And we even have automated Amazon Go.
And another factor that plays into all of that is that the lease and the rent is probably out the ass, bro. Like, imagine renting something like for a store in New York City. That'd be jacked up. That you pretty much be like maybe $1 million in debt before opening just to run that store, man.
In the subway. That's
I don't know, but like New York gets pretty wild.
But a place like this wouldn't last more than 5 minutes in the New York City subway. On top of that, most of the city's abandoned malls are add-ons to pre-existing tunnels. So it's not like a mall in another part of the country where you could add offices, you could add luxury apartments, you could add some other reason for people to go there. No, they're stuck the way that they are. And what that basically means is that the moment the city decided...
I wasn't aware of that, actually. I wasn't aware of that.
Criminals, all of its retail operations were pretty much doomed to shut down permanently. So before starting this video, I didn't realize how bad New York City's mall apocalypse actually was. And what's funny about this is the city keeps talking about how the subway system is losing money. Well, there's a whole bunch of ways that they could be earning money, but their own policies that protect criminals, prevent
exactly.
Mayor Adams says the subway system is averaging about 6 felonies every day. He wants those statistics to improve, which is
averaging 6 felonies once a day. What the frick?
And aside from crime, the subway itself has other problems. In fact, many of the city's most popular lines are only on time around 70%, and that means
how's that even possible?
By your store are late for something else, which means not only is the city failing to protect places like this by letting the service people get deteriorate as well, people have no time to go and buy anything in an environment like this. And think about what a letdown this is for the local business community. For years, places were existing down here, and they watched the environment around them deteriorate until they had to shut down. In fact, things are so bad down here.
Exactly.
17% of all of the city's mall shops are actually open, being leased by a tenant. On top of that, as this cycle continues, crime increasing, more businesses shutting down, the chances of getting a new business, that's going to go down, and the number of people using the train and actually paying for it, that's also going to continue to go down. The whole
exactly. But you gotta imagine like the store owners in this situation, like the store owners being there for like decades, just seeing the deterioration of the business, like the business venues and the area around them, man. That must be hard. Like I remember there was a comment on my last NYC video. It was like it ends in that, like someone was saying like the crime was bad in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I was like, okay, what are you proving to me? Like, New York City is a resilient shithole right now? Is that what you're trying to prove to me? Oh, okay, so the crime has always been shit.
whole thing is a sinking ship.
All owners are shifting and optimizing these empty spaces left by empty anchor stores.
But it's really for the customer. Their journey has been amplified. And see it. You can, smell maybe a great restaurant or a cleanly and clean environment. Subconsciously, when you have a positive experience, those senses are being impacted. And you're like, I like that place. I want to go there.
Yeah, psychologically, not a whole lot of memorable positive experiences happening to anybody down here. In fact, let's take a step back from the crime problem for a second here. Really, the level of deterioration and dilapidation down here is downright appalling. And the only businesses
still a pile of shit covered in a nice blanket.
Stay anymore. Think about it. Once whatever was inside this store shuts down and leaves, how is something similar going to reopen here and establish a brand new customer base? Nobody down here wants to be a customer of anything. This is basically the opposite of what you want in a shopping mall. And what's fascinating is even though crime and vandalism have tanked rents here, rents for your businesses that are street level have actually increased recently in New York City. So people are paying more to be above ground, but you can't pay some of them to open up a shop down here, that's for sure. Yes, if you go into a department store, you'll see bike locks chaining all of the clothing to the racks. You'll see plastic boxes locking up your toothpaste, locking up your detergent. But even with the increased costs of operating in a high crime environment, businesses are still willing to do it because of the foot traffic, and the fact that this is New York City still incentivizes people to come here and spend money. And that's in spite of fierce competition from online retailers like Amazon. But this is the point in the story where things get really frightening for the future of New York City's malls.
All right, let's see. Caution, there's rats in the subway, baby.
So if you thought the other malls were bad, this one right here is probably the worst because we're at the Port Authority bus terminal, and look at this. All of these stores are completely shut down. And there's even more foot traffic here because we've got the buses and we've got multiple subway lines, and this connects to Times Square.
Oh, they got a Greyhound down there. What the hell?
Shop and a Wells Fargo ATM, it would be this place, but it's not.
Malls have proven to be resilient, but all malls aren't made the same. Malls unable to shift to the new model R&D closing. From 2017 to 2022, the number of malls in the U.S. declined almost 17% yearly.
So it looks like we're seeing the real problem with these malls play out right here because crime should be better. You've got police in the station, but you can't use this real estate for anything else. You can't install laser tag or an ice skating rink in one of these tiny kiosks. And
yeah, you really can't.
Kind of
you really can't.
Would want to have a nice meal, that's for sure.
Like you said before, it's built within the tunnels, the pre-existing tunnels.
Potential revenue last year, and even with drastically reduced rents, they can't get anybody to try and open here. But what nobody's talking about is that to even open a store down here, it's 4 times harder than it is to open a store of the same size up on the street. Because even though it might not look like it, the MTA has standards for what businesses have to abide by, and the amount of rules and requirements and restrictions a little business would have to go through to open up down here just isn't worth it for a lot of companies. Especially when there don't really seem to be any standards of behavior for the people who hop the subway train, get in here, don't pay, commit crimes. Right? There's standards if you want to abide by the law, but if you want to break the law, go ahead. And that's why little malls and shops like this might stay abandoned.
You have so many regulations on the law-abiding people, but the criminals don't give a shit. The criminals are just doing whatever the hell they want.
Writing fare evasion tickets would know something about that, but unfortunately, it's going to take a lot more than fare evasion tickets. So if it's not immediately obvious, the crime-ridden environment down here is going to have to disappear if you want good things to reappear. And it's great that we've got the police and the National Guard, but the problem is their hands are tied. Every criminal they arrest gets released right back out onto the streets. And what's fascinating is even the awful bus terminal has vacant spaces, but the Port Authority is doing a much better job with its realty places. They're signing leases, and the actual mall portion of the bus terminal isn't terrible compared to what we just looked at. And a lot of these stores look pretty nice inside. Are they perfect? Of course not. But I didn't see any clothing stores that weren't shut down in the subway. And down in the subway, you have essentially the most lawless environment in New York City. And even though you have guards by the entry points, it's not exactly well policed. And even if it was, when criminals get caught stealing or robbing a store, if they steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, it's classified as a misdemeanor. And no one in this town is going to jail over shoplifting. And that's because back in 2019, crimes were classified based on how violent they were, as whether or not the offenses would be bail eligible. Misdemeanor, petty larceny, not bail eligible. And that's why you've got such an issue with repeat offenders who just rob stores, get released, and then rob stores again and get released again.
Yeah.
That right there is a massive deterrent to any business being successful. And the no consequences environment in New York already is magnified by the totally unmonitored environment below ground. And that means unless the city
pretty much the purge.
police to make arrests that actually secure the subway system, stores
No consequences for crime. Well, maybe if you murder someone.
Sit like that and are never used for anything. It's sad because when I first moved,
Well, it's the little things that add up, really.
But that's no longer the case. What do you think the city should do to punish criminals? What do you think they should do about retail crime? Let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Oh shit, that was the tank video. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm on a playlist right now. Alright, well yeah, oh, let's see if we could go back here. Yeah, that's crazy. Shit, what should they do about like retail crime, man? I mean, it needs like a whole another level of reform, really. What can I say? Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about everything going on in New York right now. No, personally, I'm like, you know what? Worry about your area. Do what you can to improve your area. And like, hey, people in New York, you gotta do what you can to improve your situation, man. Like, you gotta start talking. You gotta start talking to the lawmakers. You gotta start talking to the Congress people. You gotta start getting involved in the government personally. Like, if you really want something to change, make wherever you are right now, just make it the best you can with the people around you. Try to form a strong community and don't let shit like this happen in your community, man. Like, subscribe. Like I said, let me know what you think. Hit the bell for more content from the content machine, MalcolmXtreme. Take it easy.